Iranians have taken to the streets in the largest protests the country has seen since 2022.
با معترض اما با اغتشاشگر حرف زدن فایده‌ای نداره. اغتشاشگر رو باید به جای خودش نشان.
President Donald Trump has a new warning for Iran as a new wave of deadly protests spread across that country. Listen.
So they played rough, and I said, if they do that, we're going to hit them very hard. So we're going to hit them hard. We're ready to do it.
When you see the images coming out of Iran, you're probably thinking the same thing. How did we get here? And why? Start with the only tool that actually works. Ask why. Then ask why again. Then ask why one more time. Because the first answer is always the headline. The third answer is the machinery. Why did the protests start? Because the cost of living crossed the line from hard to humiliating. Inflation isn't a number in Iran anymore. It's a daily reminder that your life is shrinking. Wages don't keep up. Prices don't pause. The currency doesn't stabilize. And when the economy stops being policy and becomes panic, people don't write letters. They go outside. The first wave appears to have been driven by traders and merchants, people who feel the economy at street level, complaining about pressure and a system that no longer functions, not because they suddenly became revolutionaries, but because they're often the first to notice when a country's commercial heartbeat starts failing. And why is it failing? Sanctions. Iran has lived under US-led sanctions since 1979, tightening and loosening in waves. The closest thing to a broad thaw came with the nuclear deal. And then the US withdrew in 2018, and the squeeze returned. The West will tell you sanctions are about nuclear risk, rights, democracy. Fine. That's the brochure. The lived reality is simpler. Punish the society until the system behaves or breaks. And the pain is harder to swallow when people remember the West once backed a monarchy that wasn't democratic and still treated it as acceptable. And when economic pain meets geopolitical hostility, the conversation doesn't stop at why. It jumps straight to who replaces them. Which is why the Shah's son keeps appearing in the discourse like a pre-written ending. If the Shah's son is so popular today, you might assume the Shah must have been popular in his time. So why was there a revolution? Because people talk about the Shah years like they were sunshine and rainbows, a clean before, ruined by everything that came after. That story is emotionally convenient and historically lazy. The Shah pushed Western-style modernization aggressively. For some, it meant opportunity. For many others, it felt like identity being edited without consent. Iran is a fiercely proud nation. People didn't just see change. They saw a state reshaping culture and using fear to manage the backlash. Because the Shah's modernization came with a receipt. And the receipt was repression. Religious leaders were persecuted. Political opponents were silenced. Savak became the symbol of what happened when you disagreed too loudly. And the coalition that turned against the monarchy wasn't one group with one motive. It was a country that stopped believing the ruler was legitimate. And yes, the 1978-79 uprising was massive. A society moving as one. Sustained pressure. Numbers that don't fit into a 20-second clip. That doesn't mean it was bloodless. Revolutions never are. But the scale mattered. And it broke the monarchy. And here's the part people love to skip. The Shah didn't become that powerful by accident. So why was Mossadegh overthrown? Because he threatened the one thing empires rarely forgive: control over oil. Mossadegh, a popular prime minister backed by parliament, moved to nationalize Iran's oil and reduce foreign influence. That made him a problem. The historical record is clear. The US and UK supported a covert operation that helped remove him in 1953, and the Shah's authority hardened afterward. This is where the story stops being Iranians made bad choices and starts being what it has always been: foreign influence shaping Iranian outcomes. 1953 didn't just remove a leader, it rewired trust. It taught a nation that when it tries to choose its own path, foreign powers may not debate it, they may override it. And once that lesson sinks in, every domestic crisis becomes larger than itself. It stops being just economics. It becomes sovereignty. Now ask the next question. Is this the start of a new cycle? The protests are real. The repression is real. And communications disruptions are real. But here's what should make you suspicious. The global printing press is running like a factory line. A new Iran headline every minute. A fresh op-ed every hour. The same adjectives, the same posture, the same historic turning point packaging. It's not that Iran doesn't matter. It's that the volume and repetition don't look like curiosity. They look like production. And production needs inputs. Right now, the inputs are familiar. Clips, slogans, montages, and a ready-made successor narrative. The kind that makes one ending feel inevitable. And no, it doesn't require a room where people coordinate it. Platforms reward what moves. Editors follow what spikes. Audiences click what confirms. You can get a unified effect without a single unified command. And once you understand that, the next step is obvious. Influence doesn't need soldiers. It needs distribution. We don't have to guess what that can look like. Citizen Lab documented an AI-enabled influence operation aimed at Iranian audiences, including deepfakes and coordinated inauthentic behavior during sensitive moments. Haaretz reported on the same ecosystem and how it attempted to shape perception while real-world chaos was unfolding. Notice what that means. You don't need to invent protests to manipulate outcomes. You just need to flood the information space so that one interpretation feels natural and one successor feels inevitable. That's the modern trick. The event can be real, and the framing can still be manufactured. And this is why the blackout matters so much. When a regime severs communication, it doesn't just suppress dissent. It creates a vacuum, and vacuums get filled by rumor, by diaspora certainty, by media incentives, by influence operations that understand one brutal truth. When people are desperate, they grab the cleanest story available. That's why the Shah angle keeps appearing. Maybe some of it is genuine nostalgia. Maybe some of it is protest symbolism. Maybe some of it is amplified because it's convenient. Clerics out, monarchy back, problem solved. The problem is that binary stories are almost always false, but they're incredibly easy to distribute. Iran has real grievances: cost of living, repression, legitimacy collapse. The protests don't require a puppet master to exist. They only require a society that has run out of patience. But once unrest exists, the question isn't, is it real? The real question is, who is engineering what it means? Because the global printing press doesn't just report events anymore. It manufactures urgency. It selects heroes. It pre-writes endings. And when the cameras move on, the template stays. If you want the root cause, don't start in 2026. Start in 1953. Foreign influence didn't just interfere once, it established a pattern. And today, that pattern has simply upgraded. Fewer boots, more bandwidth, less occupation, more narrative.